Hello, beautiful people. Today is 1st of July. My name is Sahil and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Friends, he is Abiy Ahmed, the present Prime Minister of Ethiopia and the winner of 2019 Nobel Peace Prize. He says, democracy is unthinkable without freedom. Freedom is not a gift doled out to people by a government, rather, a gift of nature to everyone that emanates from our human dignity. Guys, into the UPSC mains exam, two themes are very prominent, that is the democracy and freedom, and on them many number of times essay have been asked. And guys, there is an unbreakable relation between the democracy and freedom which has been reflected by this particular quote, so please use it in your essay paper. Moreover, this particular quote also reflects that the freedom is a fundamental natural right which doesn't depends on to the whims and fancies of the government. Rather, it is something which cannot be alienated from the human dignified life. Now, guys, the main question that I gave you yesterday, it says food security in India is on verge of collapse if adequate safeguards will not be provided. Identify the challenges and also suggest the solution to preserve food security for masses in the times of pandemic. First of all, like every day, our answer should be reflected in three distinct parts, that is intro, body, and conclusion. Now, guys, when we talk about food security, it is not only the nutritional security, rather, it is the affirmation of the human right for which India had signed the United Nations Declaration of the Human Rights in 1948. Moreover, the preamble, the directive principle of state policy and fundamental rights, promises a dignified life, and in that context, food security is indispensable. But into the present times of pandemic, as economic security of people has been lost, in a way food security is also onto the verge of collapse, so an urgent intervention by the government is needed. And in this front, government needs to work on three A's. First is the availability, then it is the affordability, and third is the accessibility. And if any of the A will not be there, then the food security cannot be managed. So the first A, that is the availability, could be managed by having evident supplies into the buffer stock of the Food Corporation of India. Then, guys, the affordability can be managed by the universalization of a PDS and by extending the term of the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, which has often even been done by the government. And now coming to the third pillar, that is the accessibility. And according to the Nobel laureate Amartya Sen, accessibility is the most important one. And in that direction, the one nation, one ration card scheme should be soon implemented so that the migrant workers who are outside their state can also access the food. Moreover, at the fair price shop, there should be the seamless delivery of food grains to the people, and they should not be harassed onto the sake of documentation and evidences, etc. As irrespective of any documentary proof, food is a fundamental right for everybody. So, friends, in this way, we can identify the three challenges into the way of three A's, and along with the challenge, we'll provide their solutions. So, it will give a more appealing look to your answer. So that's all. And now let's take up the newspaper analysis. Guys, first let's take up the overview of the entire paper first. So guys, here the core industry output has been mentioned. So we will see certain concepts here. Then guys, the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana has been mentioned. So we will see it. Then there have been the sharp fall in non-COVID-19 reporting. So into that particular direction, we will see the integrated disease surveillance program. After that, guys, into the city page, nothing important news has been given. Then there is an advertisement for the next three pages, so not important for our exam. Then guys, again into the region section, important news has not been there, only the COVID etc has been mentioned, which is not important for the exam. Then we are into the editorial section, and the first editorial is on to the issue of magnanimity into the LSE. So we will see that thing. Moreover, certain good ideas for the IR questions have also been given, so we'll see how we can use them into the answers. After that, guys, PCR testing and the precautions have been mentioned, so we'll see certain important issues. Then, guys, here the recent ban onto the apps has been mentioned, so we will see the issues which has been given here. Guys, this article doesn't contain some important substance because it is about the unlock 2 and the number of cases, so not important for our exam. Then on to the next page, how MG Narega should be more utilized. We'll see certain prescriptions here, and it also contains the criticism of the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Rozgar Yojana. Then guys, digitization into the foreign trade has been mentioned. So very good article, ready-made answer. We will see in this particular issue. After that, moving forward into the upcoming pages, important news has not been there, and it is only about the political and all such kind of news which is not important. Then guys, center to focus on online education. Two important education themes will be seeing here, important for our exam. Then moving forward onto the next page, the report by the United Nations Population Fund has been mentioned, so we will see certain observations. Then the Namami Gange and the issue of hybrid annuity model will be seeing here. Then guys, the showcase page not important for our exam. Then onto the world's page, the Hong Kong's national security legislation has been mentioned. We will see this thing. Guys, here if you remember, we discussed about the India Sri Lanka debt issue, debt diplomacy 2 days back. I hope you remember this particular article. Then India's opposition into the uh, to Palestine has been mentioned here. We will be seeing what is given. Then guys, onto the business page, the petty issues and the corporate news has been given, which is not important for the exam. Then on to the last page, some extinct species has been mentioned, so we'll see how we can use it. So friends, that's all. And now let's take up the detailed newspaper analysis. Now starting up, guys, here we can see that the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana has been now extended till the month of November. So guys, yesterday we had seen that the large section of Indian society might be facing a food insecurity due to lockdown induced economic slump. So therefore a kind of food security was to be given. Therefore, into the month of March, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana was started, under which additional food entitlements were given to the people who were getting the benefit under the National Food Security Act. So guys, just keep in mind that under National Food Security Act, we have two type of people. One are called as the priority household and other are the Antyodaya Yojana households. Now the difference between them is that these one are the most vulnerable one. And the second difference is that priority household beneficiaries they get entitlement per member basis. Every member of a family will get 5 kg food each, whereas here the entitlements are given on to the basis of family. So per family will get the 35 kg of food grains. So friends, this was going on under NFSA before the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Under the PMGKAY, what has happened, whatever they were receiving earlier, additional food entitlement has been given in order to preserve their food security. So yesterday we had discussed about the food insecurity and there were the two major suggestions that were coming. First is the universalization of a PDS and second is the extension of the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. So I hope that Mr. Prime Minister had seen the newspaper analysis and have done the extension. However, universalization had not been talked yet. Moreover, guys, one small issue. See, earlier under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, this was being given and 1 kg of pulses were being given. We had seen earlier also. But into the address, Prime Minister had talked about providing 1 kg of chana. So this is also a minor change which has came here. So guys, that's all about this and now we'll move to next. Now friends, before going into the article, let's just make a correlation. See, there are lot of factors to drive the economic growth, but the major factor is the private final consumption expenditure. That is the expenditure on goods and services made by the common people. Now friends, into the aftermath of pandemic, we announced the countrywide lockdown. When the lockdown will be imposed, there will be the two implications. First of all, people's mobility will be restricted, they will not be able to go outside and consume the goods. Secondly, their economic opportunities will also become limited and simply they will not have the money, therefore they will not be able to raise the demand. Now guys, the demand and supply go hand in hand. If there will be more demand, there will be more supply. Now guys, because of these factors, demand came drastically down and therefore supply will also come down. So now coming to the article mentions that the core industry output has been coming down and you know why it is coming down, we had seen here. So that was more of a conceptual, and now guys, coming to the factual aspect for the prelims. See, In our country, we measure the industrial growth by an index, and that index is called as IIP, Index of Industrial Production. So it basically captures the growth of different industrial sectors in our economy. It compiles it. At the end of the day, we get a number, and we measure that number with the base year and see whether we are going up or down. So, guys, one more thing, the base year for IIP is 2011 and 12, which has been revised recently. Now, as I have told you, it sees the different sectors. So, out of those sectors, the eight are the most important one because they have the highest weight, and these eight sectors are called as core sector. You can see them here. So, if the growth will be there into the core sector totally, we can see that our industrial growth is going up. However, if this entire sector is down, we can say that the industrial growth is down. So, guys, for continuous 3 months, the core sector is going down, and we can say that the industrial growth is also down in our economy. Only one sector which has seen the positive development is the fertilizer sector. However, guys, I'll not recommend to mug up the numbers and digits because not required for our exam. Now, IAP is compiled or released by the National Statistical Office, which has been made by merging the CSO as well as NSSO. However, in exam, if in the option NSO is not given and CSO is given, then please mark the CSO. It will not be wrong. So, guys, that's all. Now we'll move to next. Guys, here we can see that there is a fall in reporting of known COVID-19 diseases. So, in this particular direction, integrated disease surveillance program has been given, which runs under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So, guys, it is nothing but a database under which the weekly outbreaks are listed and alarms are raised. So, whenever into a particular locality or a village or a city, large number of cases of one particular disease will come, then an alarm will be raised. Now it is being said that there is a sizable reduction into the alarm bells, and there could be two possible explanations of this particular trend. Number one, into the aftermath of COVID-19, people have adopted the behavioral changes, and because of these behavioral changes, they are now going for the better hygiene, better lifestyle practices, and all these kind of things, due to which the disease prevalence had actually came down. And the second reason is that due to fear and anxiety, people are right now not reporting their diseases, and they are going for the self treatment or towards the home treatment. So, guys, UPSC is in a tendency of asking such kind of things. So, please keep in your mind and please use the integrated disease surveillance program as a reference whenever a question comes onto this line. Now, as we are discussing about the alarm bells, a particular disease has been mentioned here for which the alarm has been raised, and that is the Crimean Congo hemographic fever. Now, guys, this is a viral fever which is caused due to the tick bites or due to the animals who are carrying the virus. It is an RNA virus and has a considerable mortality. So please keep in mind that also. So that's all. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, we are into the editorial section, and this article mentions about the precautions with respect to the RT-PCR testing. So, guys, as the pandemic began, the gold standard of the test is the RT-PCR, that is reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction test, where we take the sample from a person's nose or the throat region. Then we check whether the sample is having the RNA of the virus or not, and then that RNA is converted into the DNA, and then these DNA copies are multiplied in large numbers to get a credible report. Guys, here we will not be going too much deeper into the science and tech angle as we had discussed it multiple number of times. Moreover, into the I button, you will also find a link where you can check the science and tech angle behind it. However, coming back to our article. So, guys, now the number of labs which are conducting these tests have increased drastically. Earlier, there was also only the National Institute of Virology, Pune, which was conducting the test, and now there are more than 1,000 labs. But the problem is that majority of these labs are not following the adequate safety standards, due to which there are two problems. Either there are the false positive or the false negative. False positive means the person who was not having the infection but declared as infected one, and the false negative means that the ones who were actually having the virus but they have been declared negative. And in both the circumstances there will be problem. Guys, a false positive person will be admitted to the COVID-19 facility, and there he will get definitely infected when he will be living into the vicinity of the other infected people. And the false negative person, he will not be admitted to the COVID-19 facility, and he will spread the COVID-19, which will enhance the fear of community spread in our country. So guys, therefore it has been said that the credibility of the labs is very much important. Now guys, some extra information as we are talking about the labs. See, there are two type of labs. One are the public labs, which are the government facilities, government hospitals, and other are the private labs, which has been mandated by the government. Now these two types of private labs are there. One are which has been recommended by the ICMR, and second are those which have been certified under the NABL, which stands for the National Accreditation Board of Testing and Calibration Laboratories. But friends, even after giving the only approved labs permission, there have been the cases of violations. For example, a case occurred into the Vellore where a person was declared falsely positive, and on the same lines, there are large number of false negative also. So, guys, here it has been said that the adequate safeguards should be kept in mind. For example, when the samples have been taken, they should be handled very carefully, otherwise there could be the cross contamination among the other samples also. So if they come in very close vicinity, so there could be a thing that it was actually negative, but from here the virus will travel and it will turn to be positive. And in this particular regard, the lab handler's proficiency is very much important, and only the people with utmost professional competence as well as integrity should be hired into the labs. At the same time, there is also issue into the case of the false negative, because guys, they will then be spreading the virus into the community. So into that particular direction also the proficiency matters. For example guys, into the RT-PCR testing, samples from the nasal area and the throat area are taken. Now into the throat area there is the lower concentration of viral genes, and many a times if the throat samples are not taken properly, there could be the 60% false negatives. So therefore carefulness needs to be adopted here. Now guys, when we talk about the nasal samples, though they have the larger concentration, but here also there is a problem that if the proper samples is not taken, then the viral could be missed onto the swab, and guys, here also there are the 30% false negative chances. Therefore, as I have told you earlier, the competence of the lab, the competence of the technician is very much needed. Therefore, all the substandard labs which had given the negative test results should be closed with the immediate effect. Moreover, doctors and health administration should not entirely rely onto the PCR testing. Rather, they should do the proper follow-up. For example, chest X-ray as well as CT scan could be followed up to see the prevalence of the condition of lung region, as the COVID-19 impacts that particular thing. Moreover, the patients with the pneumonia should be kept under the strong surveillance. After that, there is also one issue with respect to the reporting of the cases. So friends, whenever a person tests positive onto the RT-PCR, he is declared as a case, but it is not the condition. He is merely infected, but to be a case, he needs to be have much more significant viral load. So reporting should also be rectified. So these are some general instructions in this regard. Please keep it in mind. And now we'll move to next. Guys, we had seen various editorials onto the India China standoff, and I suppose that we are more than well equipped to answer any question of India and China if it comes. For example, what should be the India's strategies, why China is doing all these kind of things. Now, guys, into that particular endeavor, this particular article doesn't contain the much stance. However, there are certain important things which we will take from here, which we can use in our exam. First of all, if you are writing any article where the word cooperation has been mentioned, for example, 21st century is the century of cooperation and not conflict. So there we can use that the relations between the India, China, or any country is guided by three values, that is Atmiyata, soulful intimacy, Nikatata, closeness, and Bhaichara, solidarity. So, this idea don't restrict to China. Wherever a question comes on to the cooperation, use it. Then the second is Vasudev Kutumbakam, that earth is our family. So, guys, therefore, it is into the DNA of India that we are always loving for peace and forgivingness. So, this also we can use. Now, guys, talking about the editorial, it says that India China relations have been at the lowest trajectory after the confrontation into the LSE began into the Galwan Valley, the Gogara Post, and the Pangong So Lake. Now, guys, after the death of 20 Indian soldiers, the matter has been intensified, and the standoff is breach of the 1993 as well as 1996, where the self restraint has been imposed. And guys, though weapons and firearms were not used and the barbarity was imposed by the bare hand standoff, which is also not acceptable. Now, China's aggression here in 2020 is not an isolated event. Rather, if we see the episodes into the South China Sea, then China has adopted a type of unilateralism, and even Permanent Court of Arbitration has said that China had violated the UN clause, that is United Nations Convention on the Law of Seas, with respect to the territory that it has claimed. But China is simply not caring, and China's action into the LSE is just extension of its aggressionist unilateralist policy. But what should India do? Should India also give the same kind of response? Should India make an alliance with the Japan, Australia, USA along with India onto the lines of Quad and should further threaten the China? So it is said that this thing will not be good because the sensitive condition that is prevailing into the time of pandemic. Moreover, guys, when we talk about imposing the sanctions, then it is also which needs to be considered again, because the condition and the economy of India is at such point that the sanctions boycott will be impacting India more. For example, the raw material for entire pharmaceutical industries, that is APIs, are coming from China. The Chinese cheap and the competitive products are lauded across the world, and Indian industry is inherently dependent. So, into the nick of time, boycotting will be against the Indian interest. Moreover, in this regard, we will also take this article which talks about the recent action by the central government where the 59 Chinese app have been banned. Now, guys, the ban has been imposed by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology on the charge that they are passing off the sensitive information, and therefore it is a threat against the national security as well as sovereignty. Now, guys, there are certain questions which has been raised. Number one, we are outrightly banning the app, rather we are not seeing whether they are complying with the laws or not. Secondly, the timing of the action is such that clearly it is giving a signal to China, and therefore privacy is just a masking tape onto this entire action. Now, friends, the thing one more issue comes that these all apps have a very huge user base in India, and it is said that more than 100 million users are there of these apps. So, why actions is coming so late when they have amassed the privacy and sensitive information from such long time? Moreover, guys, the article raises some very important issues that India's reliance on China is very much severe. For example, the pharmaceutical ingredients, then the semiconductor industry, telecom sector, 4G network, 5G trial, in all these things we are dependent on China. Therefore, bans, sanctions, and everything should be crafted very much carefully. So, guys, therefore, this particular article talks about the magnanimity or a coolness that needs to be adopted. And at the last, a very good and sensitive point has been raised by article. Friends, see, people from the northeast India, they are ostracized with respect to their resemblance, and therefore some derogatory words are used. And now we need to be very much sensitive and apprehensive that such type of terminologies should not be used, seeing the bad trajectory of relations. So guys, therefore the social sensitization also needs to be focused. So that's all in this regard, and now we'll move to next. Now, friends, this particular editorial talks about utilizing MG Narega to its fullest capacities. Now, MG Narega is a scheme which provides the right to work to all the people for unskilled manual labor work into the rural areas. Now, it is the fulfillment of Part 4 of DPSP, where the welfarist state has been conceived and responsibilities have been imposed onto the state for the welfare of people, particularly article number 41, which mentions about the public assistance into the time of crisis. So it is a very good scheme. Now guys, as the lockdown started, initially even the MG Narega work sites were closed because of the social distancing precautions. However, into the later phase, the MG Narega sites were opened, and since then it has been seen that record number of households got work, and into the month of May, nearly 3.05 crore households were getting the work under MG Narega, which is a major relief. And all this thing was also possible because the center government allocated an additional funding, and nearly 38,000 crore rupees have been allocated by center to the state government so that they can use it for the MG Narega. But still guys, there is much scope into the implementation of the scheme and the enabling provisions. Number 1, the funding which has been provided by the center government, the 70% of it has already been utilized. So therefore there is a case that much more enhancement should also be carried. Secondly, though large number of households received the aid, but still there are even large number of people who were turned back. And according to government's own data, nearly 1.82 crore people were turned back because of the lack of work sites. And the problem here is most severe in two states, that is Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. And as the fresh influx of the migrant laborers are returning back due to the resumption into the railway activities, even more work sites are needed to be created. Therefore, the government should take actions. After that, third issue is that guys, the monsoon is tickling, and during this time the work sites cannot operate. Therefore there should also needs to be a provision that in absence of the work, the unemployment relief is also provided to the people, because the times are very much sensitive. After that guys, the article is a critic of the recently announced scheme, that is the Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan. Here government had identified the 116 districts into the 6 states where the migrant people who have returned back, their skill will be mapped, and on the basis of their skill they will be involved into 25 different type of works. Moreover, this is not entirely a new scheme, rather it is an example of convergence where the 12 ministries existing schemes or programs have been brought under a single umbrella and they are being implemented. Now, article says that why the states such as Chhattisgarh and West Bengal are not included, as they have also seen a considerable reverse migration. Moreover, as we had seen that 25 type of works are provided under the Garib Kalyan Rozgar Yojana, but all of them are already covered under the MG Narega Convergence Program. So how actually it is making a difference? Further, guys, when we see the 116 districts which have been identified under the Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan, then into the last year's data, they have been underperformed with respect to the MG Narega targets. So now including them into a new scheme will actually not be bringing any kind of efficiency. Moreover, a lot of ambiguity has been also there into the new scheme. For example, the skill mapping has been mentioned, but there are no clear guidelines that how exactly the skill mapping will be executed. So friends, there it is being said that it was not the good time to bring a new scheme, rather the MG Narega's scope could have been expanded. Moreover, at the end of the day, MG Narega has been a legal backing, whereas Garib Kalyan Rojgar Yojana is not legally sanctioned. Therefore, we need to bring reforms here. For example, removing the 100-day cap and introducing minimum 200 days. Then the minimum wages that are being provided, they should be increased. Thirdly, there should also be the provision of the unemployment allowance when there are no adequate work sites or people are being turned away. And fourthly, the most important is that the release of wages should be onto the timely basis. So friends, this is actually a very good article with respect to the social justice GS paper number 2, and now we'll move to next. Now, guys, into this particular article, we will read some very good initiatives which has been taken with respect to the trade liberalization in India. Now, guys, as the pandemic is going on, the export sector has been alarmingly low. And according to the data for the month of April, export sector is low to the tune of 60%. And now, as every crisis provides an opportunity, India also needs to explore opportunity as how we can digitize our export regime. Why? Because into the post pandemic world, markets, demand structure, supply structure, everything will be reoriented, and into that particular time, the economies with more liberalized trade regime will be favored, and in order to reap that, India should be ready. Moreover, India had already taken the Bali Declaration, where it has taken the trade facilitation agreement under which India is bound to liberalize the trade regime. Thus, there have been compulsions onto the two front. However, guys, it is not the case that India has not done anything. India has taken good, appreciable steps. For example, large number of schemes and initiatives have been started, and guys, they can directly be written into the exam. For example, number one, direct port entry and the direct port delivery, where the manual checks will be reduced. And after that, there is the radio frequency identification system, which will seamlessly scan the consignments and the manual entry will not be taken. After that, guys, the e-sanchit has also been started, which stands for the e-storage and computerized handling of indirect tax documents. So duties, customs, all that kind of thing, their compliance will be easier and will be faster. And after that, guys, India's boundary movement has also been very smooth, and onto the boundary, the consignments are not being frequently stopped, due to which India's rank on ease of doing business has also been improved. So this is more of a generalistic point. So friends, please remember all of them. They will give very much authenticity to your answer. Use them. But still, there are certain hurdles, there are certain problems which are needed to be addressed. Number one, the functionality needs to be enhanced in terms of the IT system. For example, guys, there are even today certain processes which are not have been fully computerized. For example, shipping delivery order are still executed into the paper form, and there is no provision for their soft copies. So these kind of functionalities need to be addressed. Just one example. Then, guys, often there are technical glitches due to which the processes get delayed. So technical staff and a technical infrastructure should also be ramped up. Then secondly, there is the problem of connectivity into the different stakeholders, and they are working isolatedly, and due to this, entire process of clearance becomes delayed. For example, custom department is not properly connected with the shipping department is not properly connected with some other department. So these type of things needs to be removed. And third is that users themselves are not completely aware about the system. So guys, the users are also needs to be educated, and their capability should also needs to be expanded so that they can fully utilize the system. Now guys, India needs to take the opportunity of the crisis. Though India into the past have done particularly good, as we had seen the schemes, but in order to promote the ease of doing business in India, these reforms should be carried on to the urgent basis. So friends, this is a ready-made answer. There are the initiatives which has been taken, and there are the themes where the work is needed to be done. So that's all, and now we'll move to next. Now, friends, here we can see that an important report has been released, that is the World Population Report by the United Nations Population Fund, which works into the areas of reproductive health, ensuring safe pregnancies, working against child marriage, and all these kind of things. Now, according to the World Population Report 2020, there are 46 million missing girls in India. It also means that one third of all missing girls into the entire world are there in India. Now, guys, when we talk about the missing girls, it means the girls who have been killed prenatal or the postnatal. Prenatal means when they were into the pregnancy, and postnatal means after their birth. So, guys, the reason behind this particular thing we all know is the son meta preference, where it is believed that the son is more competent to run the family. Therefore, female pregnancies are either terminated or they are killed after their birth. Moreover, there is also the excess female mortality, which means that in comparison to the boys, the mortality of female is more. Why? Because of the neglect in terms of nutrition, in terms of care, and all such kind of things. Now, guys, because of all these things, a phenomena is emerging in India, which has been described as the marriage squeeze. It means that the grooms or the boys outnumber the girls, and therefore they are not able to find the suitable brides. So for Indian society also, this happens to be an important issue. So friends, this is all. You can quote the report whenever the question is asked. Moreover, into the prelims also such type of questions have been asked. So that's all. Now we'll move to next. Guys, here a presentation has been made to government, and it has been asked that the government should focus onto the ICT infrastructure into the schools so that students are equipped to handle the online education. Though the scheme has now just been floated, it is not been finalized, so we don't need to go into the technical details. Guys, here the two issues have been mentioned. After the reopening, we need to focus first onto the WASH, which stands for Water, Sanitation and Hygiene. Actually, WASH is a program by the UNICEF in which children are aimed to provide the accessibility of clean water, hygiene, so that they are not vulnerable to the infectious diseases. And now, guys, into the aftermath of COVID 19, installing the wash for the children is even more important. So, therefore, here the schools need to focus. Second focus is to build the ICT infrastructure into the schools and instilling the technical capabilities into the children so that they can adopt the online education into the long term. Now it has been observed that people were not having the technical capabilities, and therefore into the long term government needs to be equipped into this particular matter. So therefore enhanced funding is being asked onto these two particular fronts. Moreover, guys, please don't restrict by these things only to the school level education, but it is equally relevant to the college level education also. So, guys, actually, very good issues have been raised here, and they could be utilized by you if a question onto the education into the post pandemic world comes. So, that's all. Now, we'll move to next. Now, guys, here the Namami Gange project has been mentioned, for which World Bank has given the funding. Now, this is not the first time, rather earlier also the World Bank has given the funding for the Namami Ganga project. Now, guys, the government had started the National Mission for Clean Ganga, under which the Namami Gange project is going on. However, at times Namami Gange and National Mission for Clean Ganga are also used synonymously. Now, there are the eight pillars for the Namami Gange project, that is the sewage treatment infrastructure, river surface cleaning, afforestation along the Ganga, industries in effluent monitoring, Ganga Gram, that is empowering the panchayats along the River, public awareness, conservation of biodiversity, and infrastructure for the riverfront development. So, guys, all for these things the funding is required. So, therefore, World Bank has provided the funding. Now, guys, apart from the Ganga river, the tributaries of the Ganga, such as the Yamuna, Kali, etc., will also be cleaned into this particular project. So, please keep in mind. Further, here an important terminology has been mentioned, that is the hybrid annuity project. This is a type of a model by which the infrastructure will be developed. Now, guys, let's understand what is this hybrid annuity model. So, friends, generally, whenever the infrastructure is to be made, government takes the help of one of the three. First is called as the BOT, annuity, that is build, operate, transfer annuity. Here, a developer will make a project, will transfer the project to the government, and government will make the yearly payments to the developer. Second is the BOT toll, where the developer will make a project, will establish a toll plaza if it is a highway project, and will collect the charges from the user. So after a time, so say 20 years, 30 years, when the payments have been collected by the developer, he will transfer back again the project to the government. And the third one is the EPC, that is engineering, procurement and construction. Here government will identify a developer, will simply give him the money, he will develop the project and will give it back. Guys, it is different from BOT annuity because here the annual payments are being made. Now, hybrid annuity model is a little bit newer one. Here what will happen, when the project will start, government will give the 40% payment to the developer on annual basis. So in 5 years, 40% total payment will be given, and the rest 60% payment will be given to the developer as he will create the assets and onto the basis of his performance. So guys, here the annual payments are being made, and then the payments onto the basis of performance are also being made. So this model will be utilized here. However, guys, earlier the project onto the basis of a bot has also been made. So, guys, we don't need to be too much technical here. Just a brief idea you should have in your mind for our exam. So that's all. Now we'll move to next. Guys, here we can see that the China has finally passed the Hong Kong security law, which has been criticized for too long. Now, guys, before going into this particular law, actually in 1997, the Hong Kong was merged with the China. In fact, Hong Kong originally was the part of China, but the Britain has taken Hong Kong onto the lease, and in 1997, the Hong Kong was transferred back to the China. But at that point of time, it was decided that the system of one nation, two system will go on here, under which China was to give considerable autonomy to the Hong Kong. And guys, therefore, today the Hong Kong's system is very much different when compared to the China. And till 2047, such guarantees were to be given. But now what has happened? China says that in order to control the terrorism, subversion, separatism, etc., we need to pass a stricter law, that is the national security legislation, because there are large number of people who are involving in these kind of activities, and we need to provide the stricter punishment for them. Now guys, the people of Hong Kong are resisting this national security legislation because according to them, into the name of terrorism, the political dissenters will be charged and they will be punished, and in a way it is an attack onto the Hong Kong's freedom. Moreover guys, the countries such as Britain and USA had shown support into the favor of Hong Kong, and now they earlier they had also warned the China that if any such action will be taken, then they will be withdrawing the special status that has been given to the Hong Kong. But China, denying all these kind of thing, had finally passed and had said that the law will be coming into the force. Moreover, it has said very clearly to the US and UK that it is the internal matter and the countries should not interfere into that matter. So guys, this might be an end of the free economy that Hong Kong has been till now. So again, one more example of Chinese unilateralism we can see here. So guys, this is all about this particular issue, and now we'll move to next. Guys, yesterday we had seen the Mid East peace plan, under which it was said that the Israel will be annexing the West Bank territories which have been claimed by the Palestine. So in that particular direction, now the Palestine is appealing India that India should oppose the annexation by the Israel. However, India had not commented anything onto this particular matter and had said that they will be taking their call into the meanwhile. Now, guys, we'll not go into the deep, but the Israel has also been divided onto the matter because the Prime Minister Netanyahu, who is in favor of the annexation, is being opposed by his Defense Minister Benny Gantz. Now, guys, Benny Gantz was earlier prospect of the Prime Minister, and his support is very much crucial to the Netanyahu. And Benny Gantz believe that right now fighting the pandemic should be the major priority. So guys, there is still certain room that the things can change. However, we'll see into the time being as what will happen. Friends, into the yesterday's editorial, we had traced this entire issue. If you have missed it, you can refer to that particular editorial. And now we'll move to next. Now, guys, into the Sikkim Himalayas, a species of plant has been found which is believed to be extinct for more than 135 years. Now, this particular plant species is called as the dancing ladies or the swan flowers, and they have a distinct white color flower with the yellow color lip. And if we consider the status, they are the critically endangered plant species and are found into the Tista River Valley region, which includes the Sikkim Himalayas as well as Darjeeling Himalayas. So, guys, you need to have in mind what is the geographical location where they are being found. Moreover, one more important thing, these plants grow in a type of a dense colony which is called as lithophyte. So, lithophytes are those plants which grow on bare rock or stone. So, this is one important feature, and keep this in your mind for the ecology also. Now, it is being said that the micropropagation, tissue culture, or the multiplication of this species could be explored so that it can be reintroduced into its natural habitat. So guys, that's all, and now we'll move to the question section. Friends, please pause the video and try to answer the question. So first question is with respect to the Operation Twist. Please consider the right statement. Question number 2 is with respect to the PMFME scheme. So guys, please consider the right option. Now question number 3 is with respect to the National Commission for Scheduled Castes. So please consider the statement and identify the right code. Question number 4 is with respect to the ICTA system from the history. So please consider the statement and identify the right code. Now guys, the main question for today, it is a 15 marker question and is from GS paper number 3. So question says that India needs to realign itself in post pandemic world in respect of global trade. What changes should be carried by India in this direction? Do you think India's existing responses is sufficient? So guys, please write it and submit it for the review as well. Guys, I hope you have liked the discussion. Thank you so much.